live.
Manu, me dices cuando estamos fuera de mute.
Yep.
All right, give us 5 seconds. All right, let's get started with Louis Morgan. If you have a question for Louis, please raise your hands. Let's go for Michelle.
Okay. Hey, Louis, we're allowed to take the mask off to ask the
Yeah.
questions. You guys haven't scored in the last 3 games. Not having Gonzalo and Pizarro, Rodolfo in there, can you just talk about the impact of, how you guys have had to adjust and what's missing when they're not in there, and how does your team make up for their absence when they're not there?
Yeah, I think the 2 players you've mentioned are obviously players of great quality, I don't think that's the reason that we're not scoring though, and total respect to those guys. Of course, when you've got players like that, you're always going to be a threat. I think I've said it quite a lot that it's not just the 4 players that are playing up, like attacking players or whatever, it's how we as a team are creating chances. And in the last few games, obviously, we've not managed to do that. I think having the couple of disappointing results we had, I think it's natural to try and focus maybe on the defensive side and where we were going wrong, which is something that I thought against TC we done very well. Obviously we gave away the penalty, but we were definitely harder to break down, and then that gives you the foundation to then start getting back to earlier on in the season when we were playing some good stuff in the forward areas, and it's just getting the mix of everything. But now we've got that base, we know what's expected of us in that side of the game. I'm sure you're going to start to see us opening up another end of the pitch.
Thank you, Michelle. Let's go to Franco.
Hey, Louis. What kind of game do you expect on Friday night? I'm sure the environment, the atmosphere will be great since it's a rivalry. Game, but what kind of game do you expect from Orlando coming into this one? With obviously the note that you guys might be missing two of your regular starters.
Yeah, Orlando are a good side, I think what you can see with our games against Orlando last year, they obviously had a great year, and they've got great players that we need to be aware of, but when we played them we were quite even in the matchup, so we don't have anything to fear against them, but the games we played against them last year also did have goals in them, so hopefully that's something that we can make sure we're bringing to the table, and yeah, I mean all the games against them did have a little bit more needle, maybe you could say, in it because it's a rivalry. There's always going to be that, and I think it's going to be 2 good teams playing intense football the weekend. The games against them tend to be really open, and yeah, we're looking forward to it. Obviously, it's time. I know we keep saying it's time to get a win here, and what better way to do it than against your rivals.
Thank you, Franco. Andrea?
Luis, what can you say it's different from this year, from last year? We know everything has changed with the pandemic, things are getting easier. Does that influence you guys, seeing people back in the stadium, getting the fan support, or maybe reproach from the fans? Does that change the dynamic of the team?
Yeah, I mean, another thing I would say is our fans last year, even with the pandemic, were showing up. So yeah, it's great to have them inside the stadium. I know we keep going on about trying to repay that faith. We're working hard at it, and I truly believe, from what I've seen, we've got the best fans in the league, and with things are starting to open up, obviously the capacity seems to be going up every single time we're playing, and it's something that always brings a little bit more energy, especially with the heat here. Sometimes you need that backing from the fans to give you that extra little push, and they're great at that, and for sure the number one thing we want to do in football is repay the people who pay to watch you play.
Thank you, Andrea. We'll go to Franco, and then if there are any questions on Zoom, please raise your hand at this time.
Louis, what's the mood like right now in the locker room with the guys? Obviously, winning breeds happiness, and then when winning, everything tends to just go smoothly. Obviously, you guys haven't been able to do that as of late. So, what's the mood like going into this week, and obviously a big rivalry game against the team that's at near the top of the Eastern Conference?
Yeah, I don't think the mood's changed so much. Obviously, you say winning does breed happiness, and when you're winning, you've got that momentum. You're never thinking about that really. The mood is good though. I don't see any down. We don't feel sorry for ourselves. It's only hard work that's going to get us out of the situation we're in. And of course, there's disappointment from the games, and there's a recognition that we want to get better. And like I see every single day in training that we are pushing in the right direction. The staff are great at keeping us on our path. And yeah, we can only can control what we can control. The results are going to turn. But yeah, the atmosphere within the group tends to always be good. We never really get too high or too low, and as I say, the staff are good at keeping us on that kind of even keel, and it's important that we, as I say, we don't get too high or too low, because things change in football quickly, and a couple of wins and we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. So yeah, the mid's been good in camp.
Thank you, Franco. Let's go to Kobe on Zoom. Go for Kobe.
Can't hear.
We can't hear you.
Is he you? No.
No, it's okay. Are there any other questions in here?
I can ask one more.
Jose?
Luis, listen, the team is struggling on getting the results, but I'm sure there's something behind the scenes that, in which the team is growing, right? From the struggles, you learn a lot. Is there something in particular that you have seen from your teammates, from the coaching staff, that you think is gonna help you moving forward?
Yeah, I think that's a good point to make. Obviously, it's how you can learn from defeats, and I think looking at the game the other night, no one can say that we weren't more compact as a team off the ball. We were giving up a few sloppy goals in the games before, and we lost that penalty. I've not even seen the decision back, but I think everyone has already spoken on it. So we're harder to break down, and that's not something that really you want to. That should be a given in football, you know, to be hard to break down. And as I was saying to Michelle's question earlier on, that gives us a platform to build, and having that performance and knowing that we can defend like that and we can limit teams' opposition's chances, that can help us gain confidence that we can be a little bit more expansive with how we're playing going forward. So we're always taking steps in the right direction. It's a slow process, but we also know there's pressure that we do need to start winning games, and having that foundation that we had the other night is going to help us do that.
Go to Michelle.
Blaise was saying before that the fact that you guys are Inter Miami and that logo and the brand, it's viewed all over the world and everything, the pressure. Can you just talk about that, about even though he was saying, it's just that people forget how young the team is and how new the franchise is, just the pressure that you guys have because you're Miami and David Beckham's team and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think it's natural when you want to be a big club and people know that you want to be a big club and you're ambitious, that no one else wants that to be a reality, So, I mean, I've had it at the clubs I was at before. I've obviously played at big clubs, and you're a scout for other teams, and I'm not saying that we are that here. We can't get ahead of ourselves and think that we're bigger than what we are. What we are is a team that wants to get to that stage, and I know totally where Blaise is coming from. Teams will naturally up their game a little bit in the players, but it's up to us to meet that challenge, and that's just the norm. So yeah, if the club wants to get to where we want to go, it's going to take that mentality that it doesn't matter what other teams view us as, and we need to rise to the challenge every single week, and I'm more than confident that this club's going to get there.
Luis, thank you so much for your time.
Perfect, thanks guys.
Thanks, Lou.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Scotland.